Hi everyone, welcome to the True You podcast. I'm Jamie and today I'm with Graeme Holm. He was the 2019 Finance Broker of the Year. That was in Australia, right?
Yeah.
Yep. He's also the author of Money Mentor.
Yep.
And we've just spent a couple of days with him at a seminar, and it was just amazing. We just blew our mind, Nicole and I. We learnt that we can buy houses without having lots of money, and we can also pay it off way faster than that we've been told to believe, I guess.
Especially in New Zealand.
Yeah,
especially in New Zealand, which is why I'm here.
So I was so inspired by your vision of sharing that message, and how you want to help humanity, I guess, with their financial situations.
Yeah.
So I was like, the people need to hear this.
Absolutely.
So what got you started on sort of, I guess, helping people with this sort of the finances, houses, and
it was a pretty shitty childhood, just dramas as a childhood and domestic violence and all that sort of jazz. But the lack of money was always an issue growing up.
Yeah.
And my family background and where I was raised and come from, it was evident to me at a pretty young age that money wasn't the root of all evil, but the lack of it was. So the lack of money caused so many dramas. I was drawn to have to work in money and make sure people didn't suffer from those issues.
Sure, yeah. Because it is probably the biggest stress out there, right? I mean, we're all about, with this podcast and what we do, we're all about people living their best life.
Yes.
And finances is like probably the number one struggle that people have, right? And,
That's right.
And getting their dreams. So, why do you think that it is the biggest problem?
Look, I think it's the biggest problem because we don't really get an education in it. So, to be honest, where our schools, and if you follow Robert Kiyosaki or some of that, our schools are teaching people to be textbook smart.
Yeah.
And once we even do become a little bit textbook smart and we go off and build a career, we're not getting taught real life skills. And then we get busy and we get married and have children and relationships and careers and we travel.
Yeah, exactly.
And I get really lost in the fact that people are trying to manage their own finances in 20 minutes a night after a 12-hour workday and a 2-hour commute and no time with their partner.
Absolutely.
So, the mechanic fixes your car, the hairdresser does your hair, the doctor, tells you when you're sick and diagnoses you, or chiro, helps realign. Who's actually managing your money? Why are we trying to do it ourselves without any accreditations financially or even study or education financially? Doing basic maths at school doesn't allow you to manage your finances correctly or well.
No, exactly. No.
And that's why 95% plus of the population, easily above 95%, are struggling financially or live paycheck to paycheck. And we've got a system that's designed to create a middle class working poor. So it's tough.
It is tough, yeah. I mean, that's kind of, my upbringing was pretty much like that. Got to work hard. It's not easy. So I mean, getting that mindset out of the background is pretty tough,
Yeah, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And yes, we've been taught to work hard and do the right thing and pay your minimum repayments, and that's the problem. We've been taught to conform.
Yeah.
Everybody's to do the same thing and get the same result, and then get upset and frustrated when you wonder why you're the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
Because everybody really wants to be different. Most of us.
Yeah. And
so if you don't do something differently, how are you going to be any different? Interesting.
It is interesting, and I guess it's pretty hard to, when you're surrounded and, for example, you're brought up by your parents, they teach you a certain way, you create, you've got your friends that you've grown up with, and they kind of all have a similar belief system, I reckon,
Identical. Almost identical, as you know from the event, talking to people and sharing openly. People are told not to talk about money and not to talk about these things, but communication is the new cool thing these days. Let's start communicating openly and honestly. But again, you got to be careful. Family and friends are an interesting one. I call it the barbecue mafia. As you know, I'm the head chef or anti-head chef. That family will give you advice from a loving place. It comes from the heart.
Yeah.
But they want to see you do well, just not necessarily better than them. And I'm yet to meet a family that's exceeded family's expectations that don't have a family issue.
Yeah, it's interesting.
You know, it's not like you see someone that's done really, really well financially or fame or sport or whatever it is. Everyone else in the family tends to be getting supported by them and either loving that or reaching out for that, which is lovely.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time there's bitterness. There's, you know, why wasn't it me? Or, you know, you need to help me more. Well, there's an extent of helping yourself. You know, you have to do it for yourself. You have to help yourself. Why should anybody else put it on a platter for you? Because it's nice. It's a nice gesture. But at the same token, it's not going to give a man a fish, teach a man to fish.
Yeah.
Giving somebody a fish every day to feed them is lovely if they're hungry, but it's not going to get them out of their current position unless you teach them to fish.
Yeah. So you've got this hashtag, FTB.
FTB.
Which stands for...
Fuck the banks.
Fuck the banks.
Yeah, fuck the banks.
That was
I
amazing.
also found out it stands for the boys, so just be careful if you're searching the hashtag. That's a bit of a one you don't want to follow. But it just came out. It actually came out from a family member. I don't call people clients and staff. It's a financial family, as you've experienced, and that financial family, it came from a family member because I kept saying "fuck the banks" throughout an event, and they're like, "You need a hashtag FTB," and we've just run with it ever since. And yeah, the banks love it. Yeah, I mean, I've pissed off a couple of banks in Australia. New Zealand are starting to figure out what's going on, but unfortunately, Kiwi banks are owned predominantly by new Australian banks, ASBs, Commonwealth, and this is that, and you know, you guys unfortunately are getting bent over with no lube, and the things that I've seen happen 10 years ago in my banking career when I was on the other side of the counter, I'm watching happen here now.
True, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting that what's archaic to me in Australia now, and my team, is actually predominant and considered innovative and fluffy and lovely in New Zealand right now. So it's very easy to come here and be disruptive and do something different to get a different result.
Yeah.
I mean, floating and fixed. What's that shit? Why do the rates have such a disparity for floating and fixed? Well, the answer is manipulate people into believing the lowest possible rate's the best thing for them with a minimum repayment. That's bullshit. You can pay a floating rate off that's an extra 1 or 2% in 10 years and save hundreds of thousands of dollars compared to your 3 and a bit % fixed rate that you can't pay any extra on.
Yeah.
Well, in the room on the event, everybody opened their phones and tried to transfer $1 into their loan. They won't. I mean, fucking ASB don't even let you pay the loan weekly. Fuck ASB. Right? They don't even let you pay a loan. It's fortnightly or monthly. Even though interest is calculated daily, they won't give you an offset account and they won't let you pay the loan off quickly. So you literally are being robbed, legally robbed, and you've got a whole licensing and governing body and a Financial Services Act that is not written in favour of the average Kiwi. It's bullshit.
Yeah. And that just, like, going to your seminar just really opened me up to realising how much interest people are actually paying. Like,
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like,
on a $500,000 loan, you'll pay back $900,000 in total. You know, borrow $500, pay $400 in interest, roughly.
Yeah.
It's around 4 and a bit %. So, you know, the property has to double in value for you to make any money, and if it did go from 5 to $1 million in 30 years, you've only made $100,000 because you paid $900.
Yeah.
It's pretty scary.
That is
But
scary.
people don't know what they don't know.
Exactly.
They're not reading the fine print, and even if they do read the fine print, what choice do they have? Go from ASB to BNZ?
Yeah, true.
And get the same offer?
I mean, it is a bit scary because first-time home buyers, you know, they are getting a house now because it's the deposits are going down.
Yep.
So, and then, you know, they're getting the low rates. And yeah, I think it's just pretty standard that you just pay what they tell you to pay.
Correct.
Which is like 30-something years. And I mean, you're putting up examples, live examples at the seminar, and I just remember someone was paying like $30,000 a year, but something like they're only paying like $8,000 off their
home loan.
Their home loan
about
a year.
$8,500. So they're putting 30, and that's net of tax. So they're earning, you know, 50, 60, so putting 30 into the loan, and only $8,500 comes off the loan. Yeah, you've got to pay interest for the privilege of borrowing money, but not get fucking robbed.
Yeah, that's scary.
In the process.
Yeah,
it's bullshit. The banks are only making billions of dollars in profits, not millions, billions in most cases. And to think that they're owned over in Australia to come over here and ruin you guys with what they ruined us with 5-10 years ago, to me is just fucking criminal.
Yeah.
It's criminal.
It is. if they know it, you know.
Yeah, well, they do know it.
Yeah.
They're designing the products. You got to remember, a bank is never going to give you a rate, product, or service that isn't going to profit shareholders. They're a business. Now, you're not going to go into the local deli and negotiate the price of your food and milk and eggs and so forth, right? At that level. But you can negotiate your loan product if you know what you're doing. Yeah. And you can use lenders that you're not aware that even exist because you don't know what you don't know.
So you were, a lot of the time on this week, we're talking about mindset, right? And also people's why. And that was pretty refreshing to hear because, you know, you're not used to a broker
finance
or
person
or
talking
finance
about
person. Yeah,
people's mental
actually caring
process.
You know? How did you get onto that? Because I mean, you spent some time pretty much with everyone in the whole room, and there was a few hundred people at some stage on the weekend, and you got to know why they're there. You know, what makes them tick.
Yeah, so if you genuinely care about people, it doesn't take long to interact with them and figure out what makes them tick, if they tell the truth. Yeah. So that I guess that approach is one. I have a philosophy of just being a good human being.
Yeah.
If you're a good human being, then everything will go well for you. The other one is, I have a saying that if I only focus on my outcomes, my obstacles will give way.
Yeah.
So I don't focus on anything around me except where I'm going. And if I need to deal with some stuff along the way, I will, but it's just white noise. And it's really important that, you know, when people get out of bed in the morning and the alarm goes off, you've got different people in the world. Some people just press snooze and roll over and go back to sleep. You know, I've got a mate that gets up in the morning and drinks some Coke out of the fridge and plays Xbox and, you know, rolls back into bed halfway through the day and lives in the garage of his parents' property in his late 30s.
Yeah.
That's his life. But for me, I know very clearly, very detailed every single morning when my alarm goes off, why my 2 feet hit the ground and why I've got a spring in my step and what my vision and my passion and my purpose is. And if you know what drives you, I talk a lot about subconscious competence. So when we're talking, we're breathing. When we're riding a bike, we're driving a car and changing lanes and looking in blind spots and gas pedal clutch. And, you know, we're doing all these things over time that we can do subconsciously competent. We don't have to think about them. They're deeply ingrained in our DNA and who we are and what we're doing and how to do them. And financial habits are one of those things. Yeah. So, you know, you heard stories from people that, you know, they shared that something happened between family when they were 7 years old and it scarred them so deeply that that's what drives them now in their 50s. So It's interesting to think, I talk about not having arguments in front of children or financial conflict and so forth. It's really, really important that people connect with what their purpose is. And I talk about the 7 or 8 whys, go deeper, deeper, deeper. You know, if you think you have a why and people go, oh, financial freedom, fuck, please, I've heard that 68,000 times. What does financial freedom mean? So, well, more time with my family. Okay, fuck, I've heard that too. What does more time with your family do for you? And going deeper and deeper and deeper. And when you get to about 7 or 8, the tears start to roll out of the corner of the eyes, you feel a bit funny in the tummy. And when people can be honest with themselves and go more vertical on each answer, because the brain's wired to emit fluff. Yeah. Like just motherhood statement, fluff. Just stop asking me a question that makes me feel emotional. Yeah. We like to exist in a consistent state. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah, a lot of people don't want to feel miserable and sad. A lot of people don't want to be overtly happy. We just like to be consistently boring. It's a natural state.
Comfort zone.
Comfort zone, yeah. Lazy place. So, yeah, I think it's really important people connect with that. And once people, not just me understanding to help, but once people understand why they're doing what they're doing, why the bipolar budgeting, manic, not being disrespectful, the term bipolar, you know, why do we feel sadness or frustration with instant gratification and buy something? Yeah. So we feel really good. Yeah. We chase the highs and lows, the dopamine, the misery, the dopamine. We chase higher highs and we experience lower lows. And everyone in the room started pissing themselves laughing because they've all done it. You know, my wife had a bad run at work and her boss is an asshole, so I took her away for the weekend and spent some money. Yeah. Then next week we couldn't pay the bills because I took her away and spent some money to make her feel good. Yeah. So it's, you know, it's really, really important people understand what their why is, what's their purpose, why do they get out of bed. You know, people The other one I hear is, it's for my children. I never hear it's for my husband, but it's for my wife. It's interesting. Everyone says it's for my children. Both partners will say it. And then sometimes you figure out that these people forget that first date and why they fell in love and how amazing each other are, and that they were able to have these beautiful children together and create this life. Yet they're so caught up and so busy and being fucked by the system that they forget what it's like to love and care for each other and raise the children together.
Yeah.
They seem to live these independent lives and just coexist.
Yeah.
So the why is probably the most important thing for every human being in their journey. Not just financially, emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Most people wouldn't know what it is, right?
No one knows what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's interesting that they start to tell you what it is, and then you dig deeper and the tissues come out and the fluff comes out and the frustration comes out, and you challenge people on it. And if you don't push them too hard and you respect the fact that they're not quite sure and they haven't actually ever thought about it, and if you respect them enough to challenge them but stop and let them go away and put some thought and care into it, people tend to come back the next morning and say, I've figured out my why.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like,
That's
thank
cool.
you.
That's cool.
You know, I get people coming a day two and they're holding hands and rubbing each other's legs and looking at them, oh, fuck, how was last night? Oh, you had a good night, didn't you? You know, and all of a sudden there's someone in the course that said, you know, prior to the course, he said, you know, it was once a week. After the course, it's 5 times a week.
Wow.
You know, and
Yeah,
that's
nice.
that's that why and that connection. Like, they've been living independent lives and arguing over money. Why the fuck do we argue over money? You earn what you earn. But here's the key.
It's true.
You earn what you earn. Not everyone can just earn more money, but you spend what you spend. You earn what you earn, but you spend what you spend. You can't always control what you earn, but you can control what you spend. People get pissed off with the world and the system. Sometimes you should be pissed off with yourself.
Yes.
And when you can understand the why and attach the why to the expenditure, then you can start to rein in the expenditure and experience delayed gratification. There's a lot of psychology in money.
Yes.
And everything else.
And everything else.
Yeah.
So your model that you've created, you say it kind of keeps people accountable, right? It's
Personal trainer for your finances is what we were initially referred to in the Australian market.
nice.
But yeah, it definitely keeps people accountable.
Yep.
We're talking to them 2, 3, 4 times a week if need be. Direct mobile phone access to a mentor and a coach and a financial coach. And you know, we're sending them monthly reports. They've got a software, they've got an app they bring up on the phone, they can see what they're doing live. And it's really important because, you know, there's no amazing football team or rugby team or swimmer or athlete or any, you know, all good athletes have a coach, all good teams have a coach and someone to pull them together and keep them accountable.
Yep.
You know, I know I'm going through a process now of losing weight and focusing on my health finally after years of focusing on a business and putting myself last. And I know if I eat chicken and broccoli and run on a treadmill, I'll lose weight. But do I eat the chicken and broccoli every day and run on the treadmill? Not necessarily. So it's easy in theory, but putting it into practicality and principle, people struggle with, and that's why we have personal trainers for health and fitness to yell at us until we vomit in the bin in the corner, and they text you and ask you what you had for breakfast. I know Mark, my trainer in Australia, just messaged me and said, I didn't get a photo of you in the gym this morning because I started early, so I'll go tonight. You know, so it's that accountability. I've got to send him photos in the gym all the time.
That's cool.
Send him photos of what I eat. Just a little relationship we've developed that he keeps me accountable by photos because I'm a busy executive. I'm traveling all over the world. So, you know, if you really want it, you'll do it. But again, nobody can force you to do it. No one can force you to stop spending. No one can force me not to eat Carl's Jr. or McDonald's or, you know, I have to truly want it. And until you truly want it, no one else will make you do it.
Awesome. Well, so you've got like 40 events over the next year, right? You're pretty busy, man.
I think 45 events are pre-booked for next year.
Wow.
Yeah, I think my first day off now in early, I think my first day off is Christmas Eve. Although that might be debatable. I'll have to talk to my wife when I get home because I stayed an extra day today.
Yeah.
So I think I fly home and I couldn't get a flight tonight. So now I'm flying home tomorrow morning being Sunday. I land, drive straight to the Sydney office, head office, and go straight into client meetings with New Financial Family. So yeah, it's a full-on schedule, but I love it. I mean, what else could I be doing?
Oh, exactly. I mean,
watching TV.
You're affecting so many people's lives.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The sense of fulfillment and gratitude that I get is a really sick, twisted sense of fulfillment. You see the smile on my face when I do a live coaching. It's like that buzz. That's my drug.
Yeah.
That giving, that knowledge. Like, I got asked on a recent podcast if I had a superpower, what would it be? And I said to get skinny initially, of course, but which would be a cool one for anybody. But I actually, and it just came to me at the time, I said, you know what would be cool, which I'd never thought of before in my life, to take all the knowledge in my brain and to be able to impart that into your brain or to another person's brain. Now, that's not possible, awesome, obviously. Yeah. It's, SIM card or something. But I think through education we can. If I can spend 2-3 days with a group of people and it's cost effective for them and I can guarantee some of what I'm teaching them or all of, then it's risk free for them.
Exactly.
And we can all learn together. So imparting that knowledge, I think I'd like as a superpower, that would be cool. But at the moment I'll have to do it old school. We'll have to get on a whiteboard and teach.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. Like, I really, I don't need the day off. Every couple of months you might need a day off, bit of a you day. But I'm really, really enjoying the gratitude, the appreciation, and that I'm getting from it, and the fulfillment that I'm getting. I mean, it's a bit selfish, to be honest, and people don't understand it. So what else could I be doing? I get such a sense of fulfillment out of what I do. It fills me up so much that a day off doesn't. So I'm being a little bit greedy and egocentric, which is weird. Not everyone's wired that way.
It's funny, it's like the opposite of what you think. Like, you're helping more people, which is
they're helping
not
me.
Egotistical, but you know what I mean?
They're helping me. Just extract the financial benefit from it. They're filling me up every single day. It's like a drug.
Yeah.
When you're going to change someone's life for the better, hundreds of thousands of dollars, 10, 20, 15 years. When you're delivering that, mathematically, people can lie but numbers don't. When you give somebody a mathematical formula to change their life, you've impacted that person's life forever. And their family and their children and their grandchildren. Like, that's huge.
It is.
Like, it's a drug.
I mean, there are quite a few teary people.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much.
Because they had that epiphany. They're just like, wow, I can do this. I can do that. I can do this. And all these possibilities open up in their life. And so, I mean, you're doing a lot of these courses. What's your biggest vision for the world and finances? Do you have like this sort of goal that you're reaching towards, a vision?
Yeah, I've jokingly said I'd like to be the most hated person in financial services in the world. And I don't mean from a consumer perspective, I mean from a corporate perspective. They might want to kill me one day and take a hit out on me. A couple of people asked if we get a bodyguard, and I've had some banks in Australia turn me off. Then we had a Royal Commission in Australia into banking recently, and these CEOs stood in the dock and said, we're all about the customer, as long as they don't pay their fucking loans off too quickly, because they're all about shareholder profits. They're a business. And the problem that I have is the mouth does not correlate with the actions of the big corporates. So the fluff and the marketing and the PR does not correlate with action. Actions speak louder than words. And I had it out recently with a bank and said, we'll put it in writing, big bank. No, Graeme, you're the best broker in the country. All of your compliance is squeaky clean. You're perfect. We just do not wish to desire to receive the style of business you refer. Now, we go deeper and got it in writing, and the style of business I refer is people pay loans off in under 10 years. So I'm taking 20 years of shareholder profits and destroying them. Now, what the banks fail to understand, which is negligent, is my consumers are borrowing to buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rentals, shares with financial advisors. They're actually borrowing more money and sitting it at interest only for tax purposes. So the profits are actually increased to the bank if they pulled their head out of their fat, greedy fucking ass. But again, they are narrow-minded. They're employees that have just got a department, a cost center, etc. They're not innovative enough to look at another department or another cost center or the client's portfolio as a whole. So look, the vision is to take this internationally, which Australia, New Zealand at the moment, hopefully Singapore, the UK and America next year. So that's in the throes now. But really completely disrupt financial services, not just in Australia or not just in New Zealand. The reason I'm in New Zealand is because I love and respect the culture. I love and respect the people. I mean, we've always done everything together. You know, it's funny, I watched the Battle of Long Tan on the plane on the way over here. I think it was called Danger Near or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
And I think it was only a couple of hundred Australian and Kiwis helped America in the Vietnam War, and they held off a battalion of like 2,000 soldiers. A lot of young men lost their lives, but that's the Aussie and Kiwi spirit. We've always done it together. You know, we stand by each other shoulder to shoulder. Yeah, there's some synergies in our accents and how we talk and, you know, foods and cultures and stuff, but we're both really, really hard-working, genuine, loving cultures when you get down to it. And I know I get really excited and passionate about it. I love meeting people, I love helping them, we get a bit emotional about it, but at the end of the day, we're one and the same. You know, we're all human beings, and just be a good human being. But you guys are getting a really, really, really fucking raw deal. You're copying what our families copped 5-10 years ago from Aussie banks. You're mostly predominantly owned by us. And I've got a massive fucking bone to pick there, so I'm going to bring it over here. I'm a shit cricketer, but bank bashing's a national sport, right? So, you know, the Aussies and the Kiwis, we can pull out a big bat and we can beat these bastards up. So it's time that people called them out, and even internationally. So whether I'm the most hated person by the big corporates internationally, or whether somebody wakes up to what I'm doing, which people are starting to, and there's now some conversations from some big players going, hang on, we actually believe in what Graeme's doing. There's a mutually beneficial relationship between the lender and the consumer, and they will borrow more that's profitable and sustainable for investments. And they borrow more over a longer period of time, shorter period of time. There's people that are starting to get that, and there's starting to be conversations. And what I'd like to do, and I'm exploring, you know, credit union banking licenses, all sorts of things at the moment, where I'd like to actually be the lowest margin lender, but the largest lender by scale.
Wow.
Which to me makes sense,
awesome.
Because if you only make $1, but you lend more than anyone else in the country or the world, you make money. And I think that, you know, profits are important, but Rebecca and I developed a business model that was people first, profits last. Now the profits flow because we put the people first. That's where the why comes back into it. There's transactional and transformational, and what I'd like to do is change the international financial space from being transactional and remunerational to transformational. People will come back and do a lot more with an institution if it transforms their lives. If people get treated transactionally and stuck in one transaction for life, that's one revenue stream for these idiots. If they transformed people's lives and get delivered value, they do business with them 6 or 7 times in their life. So it's a different approach.
It's real exciting.
Banks are too big to do it. They can't reverse engineer from where they are now down to where we are. We're boutique.
It's a new model, eh?
It's a new model. You know, we're the 4th most innovative financial service provider in Australia and New Zealand, according to the Australian Financial Review. That's our biggest, highly most reputable, you know, financial reporting magazine and newspaper. And a lot of the banks were behind us. You know, Westpac was 10th. Little Infinity Group was 4th. Last year we were 58th. So that demonstrates the disruption and the innovation that we're bringing to the market. So it's cool. It's cool.
So excited, to see, that everything transform. I know you got to go now.
No,
you've got a busy day, but thank you so much for
pleasure
being on the podcast today.
Pleasure.
And
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where you go and
absolutely.
what happens in the next few years.
It's going to be fun.
Everyone check out the book Money Mentor.
Money Mentor on Amazon, how to pay your mortgage off in 7 to 10 years without becoming a hermit. And it's Graeme, Graeme. It's a Graeme, not a Graham. So Infinity Group Australia, find us, check us out, and hashtag FTB, and join the revolution and get what you deserve, not what you're given.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Cheers.